We only need 4 microphones.
One each table or?
No, we'll get rid of these tables. So
So
two.
two. And now the case.
Yeah, perfect. I was just making it easy.
For 1 hour, yeah.
Yes. Cevaptan saçma. Bakın. Mikrofon. On the speaker. Closing. And we are taking a photo. That's why. Don't laugh. It's for profile. Okay. Can I?
There?
Oh, like under,
Yeah.
like no. Should we leave a little note? Like a little note that says like, you're
Yeah.
doing great. That was a mic.
Yeah. Yeah, that's okay.
maybe. Yeah. I am okay. I'm a little bit ill, so I think I'm not okay.
Test bir, test bir shoot. Böyle.
Hello?
Marrakech Partnership is a great platform for non-state actors that includes civil society, cities, regions, private sector, scientists, and many more stakeholders. working together on strengthening public-private partnerships, and in particular this year on demand aggregations and demand signals to decarbonize the industries.
This is the opportunity and the urgency to build partnerships with indigenous peoples in finding real solutions.
We are launching a new initiative called SCALE, Systemic Capital for Adaptation, Localization, and Expansion, which is the first integrated investment platform for climate resilience happening.
We are here to promote walking and cycling as key solutions to the climate, health, and equity challenges faced around the world. And we would like countries to commit to walking and cycling.
Dear distinguished guests, I'm Noura Farag. I'm a Maldivian climate leader. I'm also Deputy CEO at Climate Outreach in UK. I'll be your moderator for today and this evening. I'm delighted to welcome you to this Global Climate Action closing event, Champions for Change, celebrating progress and potential in climate action. We have an exciting discussion in store for you as we reflect back over COP29 and say farewell to our high-level champion for COP28, Razan Al Mubarak. To kickstart, I'm delighted to welcome to the stage His Excellency Adnan Amin, Chief Executive Officer of COP28. Please.
Well, Your Excellencies, dear friends, it really is a great pleasure to be here, and I actually mean that because you took me away from a very nasty negotiation discussion, and I'm very happy to be sitting with more optimistic people who are looking at the world in a different way. And I think that's what's very special about this process, because I still remember the Marrakech conference and when we adopted the decision on the creation of the high-level champions. I've known all of them. All of them, each and every one, has been an exceptional person who has been distinguished by their absolute passion and commitment for what they were doing. And I think that was so instrumental to the success of the program, to have people who actually were passionate about the issue, from whatever perspective they were coming, believed that change was possible, had an optimistic demeanor about the future, and led a process of engagement of a broader swathe of society and civil society actors and others. And I think the significance of that now is more relevant than ever, because we're coming to a point where the negotiation process has delivered what it can deliver. We are now moving into an era of systemic fundamental change and response, where every sector of society and economy needs to be part of the solution, where everybody has a role to play and everybody understands the stakes, and the stakes are high, and everybody is empowered to be part of the solution. And that's the role of the champion. While I've known all of them, the one I've known the best and most closely is our champion, Razan Mubarak. I've known her for many years. I've known her for her passion about nature. She was the head of the Abu Dhabi Environment Authority when we first met almost 15, 16 years ago. She was an inspirational head. She passionate about nature. Today, she's the president of the IUCN. And her choice as champion, high-level champion for COP28 was natural to us. She had this authenticity, this passion for the issue, and this kind of belief in what she had to do, which gave her credibility with every constituency out there, because people respond to people they believe in. And they could believe in Razan. And, we were proud of how she was able to mobilize such important, significant parts of civil society. Uh, our climate action program was perhaps one of the most impactful in recent years. We brought an unprecedented number of youth delegates. The youth inclusion part of this was so central to our vision and to Razan's vision, because we know that the youth are going to be both the recipients of our actions in terms of climate trends, but also the ones who are going to be providing us with the solutions. And the participation, engagement, and education of the youth is critical to the success of the broader climate agenda in the future. So bringing the youth to the table, bringing gender in a way that it hadn't been engaged in every aspect of climate action to the table, bringing the private sector actors to the table, philanthropies, and all of the sectoral issues that we addressed. Very important initiatives on water, on greenhouse gases, and so on. What I have become convinced of, and I started off life much more in the in-depth negotiation stuff in the UN and others, believing that what we were doing was going to be what the law is about and everybody else was a bystander, to really understanding that we are now at a stage where the engagement of important parts of society, of our youth, addressing the gender issue, bringing justice to indigenous people, and so on, has to be such an important part of what we do, because we will not have a solution just at the political level. This has to be a people's solution, and the champions are the people's champions. And I think that's what's so significant about this. And, as I said, Razan has been an extraordinary champion for us. In our process, I think we had most of them engaged. I think Manuel is going to be here today. I don't know if he's here. He's here. Okay, Manuel. There you are. You're in the shadow. Manuel was an important part of our process. I think Mahmoud Mohiuddin, the previous champion, was part of our process. Gonzalo was part of our process, the Chilean champion, and Nigel was part of our process. We had everybody. And they provided a support framework, an advisory framework for Razan to help her to ensure her success. And now Nigar has an even bigger support group. And we have been so impressed by the way Nigar has taken this challenge forward, what she has been able to achieve in a relatively short time. We had a longer runway than you, Nigar, but what you've been able to do in terms of mobilizing constituencies as the champion for COP29. You have a busy year ahead of you also, by the way, to capitalize on what we agreed to here, inshallah, in COP29. So we wish you also great success. Know that you will have many people standing with you to support you. I know how close you are to Razan and the other champions. And just to say that never lose sight of the fact of how important what you're doing is. It's not a side event issue anymore. This is much more of a main event for climate action for the future, because what you are doing is sowing the seeds for climate action for the future and bringing the actors to the table in a way they have never been involved in a broader discussion. So the work is important. I think we're coming to the end of the Marrakech mandate. I think it's important for us now to extend that mandate into the next round of champions. I believe that the champions will continue to be essential to the climate process. But I just want to say thank you to you, Razan, for having been such an extraordinary champion for us. And Nigar, to you, we wish you the best and know that you have friends and that we will be here to support you. And thank you very much for allowing me to do this. I always never miss a chance to say nice things about my friend Razan. So thank you for that opportunity and wish you the best. Thank you.
Thank you so much for those words, Your Excellency. I would now like to invite Manuel Pulgar Vidal, Global Ambassador of Race to Resilience and Race to Zero campaigns and Global Leader of Climate and Energy at WWF.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It is always good and even healthy to stop, to take a breath, to take a break, and then to go to celebrate. We are not used to celebrating too much, even less when it is about COP processes. But we don't need to celebrate. And in this case, we have to celebrate because of all the big and huge progress we have developed in relation to the action agenda. It is time to celebrate because of climate action, how much climate action is happening now. We have to celebrate because of how instrumental the race to zero, the race to resilience, and the 2030 climate solutions have been for this process. We have to celebrate because of the willingness of countries that have made their most effort, their main effort to move this process forward. The UAE with COP28, Azerbaijan with COP29, and now the coming host country for COP30, Brazil. And we are talking about that troika, but also we are discussing and talking about the Rio Trio, because also it is important and we have to celebrate how much instrumental the action agenda it is for the Rio Trio. I am also so happy to have this, no Rio Trio, but this women trio, fantastic Hindu, Razan and Nigar in front of us, because it is fantastic to see how how instrumental, how good it is the role of women when it is about the climate debate. So that is why it is time to celebrate. And it is time to celebrate what we will continue getting, because we know that we are entering into difficult times. We are entering into times in which the action agenda, it will be even more foundational to keep not only this process alive or to make it more resilient, but also to be strengthened. So we have to work with the action agenda to get that, because we will be, we build back better, I am sure. We will move this process towards a very healthy time soon after the difficulties that we are suffering or that we could suffering also soon. So for that, we have to count on you all to be part of this action agenda. So having said that, let me now switch into also celebrate Razan and your role as champion. And I have taken some notes with 7 C's, the letter C, to describe you and what all you have meant to the process. First, courage. You know, Razan, in the beginning of this process, you have shown to be a very courageous person that has been able to deal with the main challenges and the most difficult challenges of this process. And the only way to face those challenges, it is by having that level of courage. Second, you are a connector. You are a person that has been able to connect. To connect because you used to work a lot in conservation, now you are working on climate. You are one of those strong promoters of the synergies agenda. And now synergies is emerging as something that it will be so important to continue achieving our climate, nature, desertification agenda. And that ability to connect, it is something that we have to appreciate. Third, you are a conciliator. It's amazing, Razan. You are always quiet and you are always conciliating even the most difficult situations and sometimes the most difficult people. And that is a very important skill, because sometimes we are used to being stressed with some situation, but you are always showing that you can conciliate by keeping that quietness and by bringing some solutions as a way to be or to see how can we connect, reconnect, and bring solutions to some controversy. A fourth thing, it is you are a convener. And that it is about the action agenda, it is to convene. Because the action agenda that was launched in the beginning 10 years ago, then evolved into having champions, then the Marrakech Partnership with the first work plan, then the second work plan in Glasgow, no? And now it is true at NANDE that we do need to renew the mandate. But that is something that means to be convener, and that is why I am recognizing that. Then you are a crystal clear person, two C's in one. No? That means you never project hidden things. You are very clear and very crystal in projecting what you do think it must be something to be addressed, some challenge to deal with, and that is so important as champion of the action agenda. The sixth one, it is you are constante, that is Spanish, but I don't know if it is constant, it is correct to say constante, that it is you are a perseverant person, because this agenda deserves that kind of perseverance. 7, you are a comrade, a confidant, a friend of all of us. And it is just by having this friendly relation that we can build all of what we have progressed and we have done. And finally, you are the champion, and you will always be the champion for the climate agenda. So we are celebrating not only all what we have done, how much we have progressed, but also we are celebrating the champions. We are celebrating you, Razan, and thank you for your effort. And now we are going to work closely with Nigar. Nigar, you know that you can count on all of us, and for sure, we will count on you to continue championing this agenda with the Brazilian champion that I hope soon can come. So let's celebrate, let's keep this spirit, let's move into getting something strong in this COP29 in Baku. And yeah, it is always good to celebrate. And let's go today to bed later, and let's wait for tomorrow to have something that can make us to build upon and to go into Belém COP30 with a strong outcome to continue making this process possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Manuel, for those inspiring words. Connection indeed is very important for all of us. Now, let's move to our next discussion, from vision to reality, collective action for climate and community. I'd like to welcome to the stage our speakers. To the stage, please. Jill Warren, CEO of European Cyclist Federation, Gregor Robertson, Special Envoy for Cities in CHAMP, and Mayor of Vancouver from 2008 to 2018, Hindu Umaru Ibrahim, Muboro Indigenous Woman, UNP FII, Chair and Advisor to COP29. Thank you. Today is the last day of the action agenda here at COP29. And under the UN Climate Change High-Level Champions and Marrakech Partnership, we have seen an incredible program of events, roundtables, as well as some exciting announcements. I'd like to turn to our speakers to hear their reflections from across the 2 weeks. So, Jill, I'll start with you. As CEO of the European Cyclist Federation, yesterday, we saw Urbanization, Transport and Tourism Day is an important day for you. As you reflect back over your time at COP, what has given you energy?
Thank you for the question and for the invitation to be here today. What has given me energy? Well, The solutions that countries are talking about and committing to are getting more grounded in reality. They're broader in scope, and they have the potential to positively affect more people's lives around the world. I'd like to give an example. I was in the Greening Urban Transport Ministerial Roundtable yesterday, and I kept a tally of all of the speakers who explicitly mentioned walking and cycling as an important part of greening and decarbonizing urban transport. Now, I don't know how many ministerial meetings like that all of you have sat through relating to transport, but cycling and walking don't often get mentioned in them. But I was pleasantly surprised by what I heard yesterday. No less than the European Commission, the International Transport Forum, the transport sector head of the Asian Development Bank, Azerbaijan, the UNECE, UN Habitat, Burundi, Uganda, Chile, Lithuania, Kazakhstan, Czechia, Romania, the Netherlands, and Turkey, as well as other NGOs in support, mentioned explicitly walking and cycling as an essential solution to the climate challenges that we face. So that was really, really refreshing to hear that people recognize and want to implement, whatever can unlock that potential for all of us. So that really gives me energy. And another thing that I may get a bit emotional about is parties were thanking me and my colleagues for the work that we do. And we work so hard at it, and it doesn't happen that often. And that was great.
Thank you for all the work you do and also for sharing with us. Thank you. Reka, yesterday was also Human Settlements Day as part of the Marrakech Partnership Program. What are you taking away from your time at COP?
Well, I'm very honored to be here. Feel humbled to be here among such amazing people for our planet and our people. So yesterday was the third urban ministerial, the third time that cities have and states and regions have had the opportunity to be part of the COP process. We are thankful on behalf of the mayors and governors and leaders at a local level, so thankful to be included and empowered within this process. And so yesterday was again another important moment for that. I am working as the special envoy for cities in CHAMP, and on behalf of the Global Covenant of Mayors, which is huge, the largest alliance of mayors globally working on climate and energy, and 13,500 plus at last count. And so the opportunity to bring the voices of mayors from around the world, local leaders, has to this forum, and to see the momentum with CHAMP, and not just from the local level, but 74 countries have now pledged support for the CHAMP. They're part of this coalition to work with subnational governments at all levels on climate action. And inclusion is the first part of that, making sure that we're all at the table working together to put the plans together. The plans are very important, the national plans and NDCs. The adaptation plans are critical. The biodiversity strategic action plans are essential, and cities have a really key role to play on that too, as Razan has championed so eloquently. So we see that that first stage is well underway right now. It's been really exciting to see the leadership of UAE and Brazil both coming forward with national climate plans that have subnational governments prominently featured as partners in scaling up the activity. So that piece, the leadership of UAE and Brazil, is now the example for all of the other 74 CHAMP countries to follow suit and match. And beyond that, I think what's exciting and hopeful right now is with the NCQG, our big goal around finance. Finance is the second big piece of the CHAMP puzzle. And cities can't deliver on the ground unless they have the financing. They have the money to do that, especially in the global south, especially on adaptation as the impacts get more intense. So we need to see, we've had recent research that have now identified how much we need at a local level. It's $800 billion of public financing by 2030 every year. That's the magnitude that needs to fit within the NCQG. But the great research that just came through was around the cities being able to contribute at about 40% of the gap that we're missing to get to 1.5. If they're financed, the cities have climate plans or are in action right now and can deliver a very significant part of what we need to do. That is new and exciting. And finally, I would just say, and it's what we're here for, action. And mayors in particular are implementing. They're having to take action to deal with the devastation, but also to decarbonize and reduce our impact on nature. So that action agenda is absolutely inherent in how we live in community, and just seeing that all of this talk, all of this work, all of this research, and arguing over money and all that is going to result in action. Ultimately, that's what gives me hope and makes me excited for the future, is that we are now talking and there's action on the table.
Thank you. 74 countries and 13,500 cities. That's worth celebrating today. Hindu. Today is Nature, Biodiversity, Indigenous Peoples, Gender Equality, Oceans and Coastal Zones Day. Something very personal to both of us. Tell us what has given you energy from your time at COP, and especially from today.
Thank you very much. And hi, everyone. I think I can say what gives me energy right now is just like sitting next to my two sisters. There's a big energy. But of course, as you said, today is Indigenous peoples, nature, gender, ocean. I mean, so many things. It's a lot. But I started my day at 9 in this podium. It was a high-level convening by IUCN, talking about especially two topics, Indigenous peoples and nature. So that was so refreshing to see Indigenous peoples are being the leaders in the nature and talking around this topic when we are discussing on climate change. So that's really like very energetic. And I went to the people's planet, people's plenary, just coming from there, and many people come from the people plenary. And people plenary is actually about talking the real things that happening home, about the peoples that are suffering from climate change. Of course, outside of the complex negotiation that you talk about in NCQG, we need like thousands of trillions, not 8. No, really more than that. So that was really the place that gives me hope. At least we are grounded. We are talking about the real people there, into the people plenary, and having all the voices to be listened, not choosing from global north or global south. That was so energetic. But of course, as I said earlier, the energy, we need to keep it. And we keep it last night. I don't know if most of you went to this event organized by Razan, that reception. We really had a good time there, discussing in a nice way about negotiation, but about the real people, about the achievement that we did. And then I said like, well, we have to stand back and look at what we achieved. We achieved an amazing year through all the action. Indigenous peoples attended in a big number to the COP28, and thanks to, of course, Adnan. May I claim to have also advisor to the COP28 in my name there? Because that was the big achievement. We talk about that, and we talk about how much we take our step to do the action around the climate, around the biodiversity, and around desertification. The three nexus coming together finally. This is also a big achievement that gives me really hope. And of course, we had another panel here when Emmanuel spoke around ocean. We give a place to our ocean. And then we say, finally, we are talking about the cross-cutting of the biodiversity issue, not in silo, forest, ocean, nature, indigenous peoples are coming all together. And this really like give me hope for the day. And I hope this positive hope and energy will take us through tomorrow to end nicely, as also you said, to this outcome of the COP29.
Thank you, Hindu. It's indeed about people and intersection and interconnectedness. As we know, Razan Al Mubarak will shortly be stepping down as high-level champion for COP28. And we have seen huge amounts of energy and momentum under your leadership over the last 2 years. Coming back to our speakers, in the interest of time, I have to keep this slightly brief. I'd love to hear if you have any reflections or work you'd like to highlight from Razan's tenure, as well as any words of encouragement as we look towards COP30. We start with Jill.
Well, thank you very much for your work, which we appreciate all so much. We really appreciate the focus that you've brought to nature-based solutions, to gender-responsive climate finance, to make sure that the solutions that get adopted work for everybody. That's so important. So thank you so much. I think also looking a bit more specifically into the areas that I focus on, I really appreciate the Avoid and Shift 2030 breakthrough for road transport, where we say, we're going to double the share of energy efficient and fossil-free forms of land transport by focusing on shifts to public transport, walking, cycling, and rail freight, as well as electric vehicles and railways. Certainly, the first COP I went to, it was only about electric vehicles. So, having that broader picture is absolutely crucial. And maybe one more thing, the fact that the active travel NDC template that was included in the whole of society support for strong national climate plans report is also so important. That whole of society approach, very much appreciated and very valuable. And as I look ahead, I really hope that the NDCs that we'll see coming out next year have so much more truly sustainable mobility targets in them and all these other things that we know are necessary to really move the needle and get where we need to go for the Paris Agreement. So thank you very much.
Hindu, over to you.
Yeah, firstly, I disagree to the word stepping down, because you are a champion and you will stay a champion. You always have been a champion. But of course, to the COP30, as you said, we started an initiative, or we started to get the indigenous people's direct access finance. We work on that very hard. And then at the end of the day, our objective is to land it at the COP30. And so far, we have discussed it with all the private, philanthropic, public peoples who wanted to commit the funding to the indigenous people's direct access finance. And we do have the Troika, so it's not stepping down again. So we are going to make a big moment of indigenous people's pledge at the COP30. And as the baby that we raised it with Razan, she is going to continue championing to get it there. So you are there, Atnan. I hope that COP30 is there. And of course, Sister Nigar is there. So Razan is there in this way. She cannot be aside. She will be with us to discuss in June, in Bonn, in Unga, and we landed together in Brazil. So that is really the request that I have. And I think if we go through vote, we all know I will win. If you go through consensus, also I can win. So she is really a champion. But let me tell you something. Razan, my sister, you have been a true leader. You changed the game, and you have been a true sister for me. You are a champion, you are my champion, and you will be always staying the champions. So this is completely directly to you, sister. So you will be champion beyond the COP30 for all the planet and his peoples, for indigenous peoples. I thank you.
Climate action champion is always a champion. seems, and there is definitely a conversation to be had afterwards. Gregor, over to you.
Yeah, well, yeah, once a champion, I mean, we have a champ initiative that you can always be a champ for. And I would say, well, and it's not, Razan, you carried the champ message as the champion, which is very helpful as we launch this. I mean, ever thankful to the COP28 presidency, Adnan, and your whole team. We're really thankful for the rocket launch that you provided, and Razan, you would show up at every opportunity to jump in and champion the champ. So thank you for that. And I think what is really exciting going into COP30 is, as I've mentioned in the last point, is really about the action agenda and seeing just as examples in Brazil, Green and Resilient Cities program, Amazonian cities trying to figure out how they protect their forests, their nature, and take care of the people in the cities and the indigenous communities that make up so much of the Amazon. All of these things are coming together, and they're coming together in an action agenda. We have to do it on the ground, and COP30 will be in Belém, in the Amazon. So it's this convergence, and I think that is what has really inspired me with your work, Razan, is bringing climate and nature together, one and the same, in our action agenda, and the needs of people, the needs of our communities, whether they're big cities or they're tiny villages, of whatever cultures we bring together, that we need to bring all of this together at once. And I want to personally thank you as someone who lives in a coastal temperate rainforest, one of the most biodiverse places in the world on the coast of BC near Vancouver. And those in a tablespoon of soil in the rainforest where we are, there are 1 billion creatures living. And all of those creatures don't have voice here. And all of the creatures that you brought into every room I've seen you in, we call it nature, we could call it animals or plants or fungi. And this immense community that we are just a small part of. We talk to each other all the time. We're very focused on each other, on our people, but you've reminded us over and over again, Razan, that it's all of us, all of nature that we are part of, and we can never forget that. We need to keep protecting and growing how much we protect as stewards of this planet for the next generations. And thank you for making sure we never forget our roots in nature.
Thank you, Gregor. I'd now like to turn to the floor to invite reflections and congratulations to our high-level champion, Razan. For interest of time, we have only a minute for each speaker from the floor. First, I'd like to call on Lorelei Pico, focal point for the Marrakech Partnership for the Oceans Thematic Group. Lorelei, over to you.
Can you hear me? Yeah. Just wanted to sit next to you. I mean, we've seen each other this morning, and I think it's so beautiful what you've said. And on behalf of the Ocean and Coastal Zones team, we are so happy. We're so proud of the energy and the platform that you have provided us. And just to say a few words, Razan has been a true champion in elevating not only the mangrove breakthrough, and everyone loves the mangrove breakthrough, but the overall ocean breakthrough. You got all the sectors, industries, NGOs, governments, IPLCs to finally work together and help us, the ocean community that has been swimming alone for the last decade, to make sure that it is recognized as a solution to address climate change, biodiversity loss, injustice in the world, peace and security. Razan, thank you so much, and we will never, never let you go. So thank you.
Thank you, Lorelei. Now, Liva Kargur, Natural Resources Officer at FAO and part of the Land Use Marrakech Partnership Group. Over to you.
Yes, so thank you. I would also like to express my high appreciation of the work that Razan has done in bringing nature more back to the scene and empowering the community and bringing all the state and non-state actors together. And while a lot has been delivered under your leadership, and we highly, highly appreciate that, I think we still see that there's the full potential of the land use sector is not achieved or not represented in the national and also non-state commitments. So I think the fruits of your work and that you have done in the past year, we really hope we will see next year in the nationally determined contributions, and we will stand here and support your further work and commitment and continue the work that you have started, and we hope that you will also continue supporting us. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Lorelai and Liva. And thank you to all our speakers, Jill, Hindu, and Gregor. And thank you for coming and for your nice words. Thank you. Now, let's move to the next part of our evening, looking back, moving forward, honoring our high-level champion for COP28. Now, I'd like to invite our high-level champion for COP29, Nigar Apadarai, to the stage for her highlights and for your closing reflections. We also have a short video to show.
Network that spans across 30 African countries. And our work has been on advancing youth voices using the civil writing processes.
How can we solve the challenges that are imposed by climate change, such as flooding in underserved communities?
How can we make energy democratization really real? And that really means if the masses of the people feel that they impact the change.
What we are working on in Egypt is to really upscale the transition of smallholder farmers from conventional farming to organic farming, increasing their resilience, their adaptation, improving their livelihoods.
Some solutions, some services can be shipped to online platform.
The progressive narrative that we shifted around the need to empower the youngest population in the world. Young Africans are empowered if at all they're serious about addressing the issue of climate change.
And so roof over our heads is, for me, going back to basics. I started working with people who had no tenure, no right to the city, based evictions. We have got the whole challenge of informality into this process.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished friends, good evening, everyone. As I stand here in my home city, Baku, a place where rich traditions and progress meet, I feel a deep sense of pride in all that we've achieved. Coming together from all corners of the world, united by a shared purpose, we've taken an important step towards confronting the greatest challenge of our time. We have met and worked with so many incredible non-state actors this past 2 weeks: businesses, cities, states, regions, indigenous peoples, youth, channeling their ambition, action, and priorities to parties here at COP. We have seen a groundswell of real economy actors step up to offer support and emphasis on moving the money, on funding our future, on strong, bold climate plans. But while we can acknowledge the progress made, we must not forget that our work is far from complete. The road ahead remains challenging and the responsibility before us is vast. Yet even in the face of these challenges, we know our collective strength, creativity, and resilience will carry us forward. From villages to cities, from small businesses to governments, people are already rising to the occasion. Solutions are emerging in the most unexpected places, reminding us that a better world is within our reach. And in those stories, in the quiet moments of change, that is where hope takes root. Hope is not a blind optimism. It is grounded in the work we see happening every day. Take Neil Spackman, whose work in reversing desertification in Saudi Arabia has transformed barren landscapes into thriving ecosystems, providing livelihoods and reducing local temperatures. Or consider Shelly Jarina Kirketta, who is lighting up a rural India with solar-powered mini-grids, bringing energy, opportunity, and dignity to communities that were once left behind. These impact makers show us what's possible when people are at the heart of climate action. Their stories remind us that transformative change does not come from technology or policy alone. It comes from individuals and communities daring to innovate and act. They are a call to action for all of us, urging us to move beyond words and deliver tangible results. This same spirit of action extends to our work with small and medium enterprises, which form the backbone of global economies and are essential to building the resilient future. Through initiatives like Climate Proofing SME campaign, we are working to provide them with the tools, resources, and networks they need to adapt and thrive. It is no small achievement that this campaign has now engaged 40 collaborators and reached 90 million SMEs, but it is clear that this is just the beginning. The work we've done so far must now be built upon with greater scale and urgency. To truly make a difference, climate action must accelerate across all sections. The pace at which investments are made, technologies are scaled, and collaborations are forged must increase. But beyond that, we need systemic changes that transform how we live, eat, work, and govern. Create structures that enable resilience, fairness, and inclusivity in the face of a rapidly changing world. Because this transformation cannot be guided by targets alone. At its core must be equity, where every voice is heard and every community has the opportunity to shape the decisions that impact their lives. And with this in mind, I turn to someone whose heart and soul have been bound to this cause, my sister in this mission, Razan Al Mubarak. Your unwavering leadership, vision, and dedication have been an inspiration to me and to so many others. Together, we have worked to elevate the voices of those on the front lines of climate action and to accelerate the systemic changes needed for just and resilient future. As you pass the torch, I know your legacy will continue to guide us. It has been a privilege to work alongside you, dear Razan, united by a shared goal, to leave this world better for future generations. To close, I leave you with these three reflections. The power of people. Behind every wind turbine installed and every ecosystem restored are the hands, minds, and hearts of individuals. Let us not forget that climate action begins with people and ends with better lives for all. Second, the need for radical collaboration. No single actor can solve the climate crisis alone. It requires all hands on deck approach, bridging governments, businesses, civil society, and local communities. And third, but not the least, the last but not the least, the responsibility to act now. What we do or fail to do will define the future of our economies, our ecosystems, and our children's lives. Let's seize the moment with the urgency to demand. As we leave Baku to Belém, I leave you with one request. Ask not what we can achieve tomorrow, but what we can do today. This is our chance to shape a world to be proud of, a world where every voice matters and every action counts. Thank you very much.
Thank you for those words, Nigar. And now, before we turn to Razan, we have another short video, a video highlighting some of the amazing work over the last 2 years at high-level champions.
By unifying and empowering the Marrakech Partnership and non-state actors around the world, Razan has left her mark on our work forever, placing nature at the heart of the climate agenda, marshalling real economy support for a game-changing global consensus for just transition away from fossil fuels, and amplifying the voices of stakeholders across the public and private sectors, especially those who have too often been overlooked. In just 2 years, Razan has engaged thousands of companies to work together reducing emissions and boosting resilience. Showcase the bold leadership of cities, states, and regions. Brought together 78 countries to advance gender equity policies. Champion the expertise and priorities of Indigenous peoples, and mobilise the groundswell of partners to unlock billions in essential funding for nature, biodiversity, climate, and Indigenous finance. From protecting essential ocean ecosystems and livelihoods through the ocean breakthroughs, to mobilising hundreds of diverse global partners to transform our food systems. From amplifying Indigenous peoples' unique contribution to conservation and climate, to rallying more than 500 businesses and financial institutions to commit to halt and reverse nature loss. And much more besides. Thank you, Razan, for your vision, your partnership, and your conviction. You have been a true champion. Your legacy will live on.
Finally, let's hear from our COP28 champion, Razan Al Mubarak. Please join us on stage.
Wow, you guys are going to kill me today. I've been holding back tears and I'm not going to well up, even though I'm sure my colleague Kirk is welling up somewhere. But genuinely, I am truly humbled to be here. And I'm really here because of you, for the wonderful work that has been shepherded within the non-state actor community, within that ecosystem, within the Marrakech Partnership, within the incredible Climate Champions team and the UNFCCC Secretariat. I've just had this incredible privilege to be given the mic. Also, we tend to forget that as high-level champion, you never stand alone. You always have co-champions with you between one COP and the other. And I was so blessed to have gems, truly gems as co-champions, and also as through the alumni of champions. But I had Dr. Mahmoud Muhyiddin, who've brought so much to this ecosystem, and of course, my sister, Nigar. So thank you, dear friends. Thank you, dear colleagues. The past 2 years have been an extraordinary journey, standing alongside you in the fight for a world where communities and ecosystems thrive, where equity drives progress and resilience strengthens our shared vision. Together, we've pushed boundaries, we've raised climate ambition, we've amplified essential voices from across our communities, and I'm deeply grateful for the commitment you bring to every piece of this work. And I look forward to seeing this dedication carried forward by my extraordinary and dynamic sister, Nigar, and the next high-level champion from Brazil. I would like to also extend my gratitude to the Marrakech Partnership, which has played a pivotal role in mobilizing and engaging the non-party stakeholder community. Their work has been integral to all the COPs and in delivering the 2030 climate solutions as a credible pathway for action. Reflecting on our collective achievements, I feel immense pride in what we have built together as a community. At COP28, over 150 businesses and financial institutions endorsed the Nature Positive for Climate Action call to action. And since then, we have welcomed hundreds and hundreds more. In reimagining food systems, which is an ode really to the leadership of the COP25 high-level champion, Gonzalo, we now have an alliance of 300 stakeholders, from farmers to consumer groups, committed to creating an agricultural sector transformation, one that works for nature, for climate, and for people. Dr. Mahmoud's fingerprints were also everywhere with respect to finance, and through collaboration, and decisive action, finance sector leaders involved in the finance sector deforestation action initiative are proving that the global stocktake goal of halting and reversing deforestation and forest degradation by 2023 is achievable. This momentum is reflected globally, with more than 120 countries pledging to triple renewable energy capacity and double energy efficiency by 2030. And this is supported by hundreds of private sector and civil society organizations globally. Building on this, the world's leading utility companies have committed to investing more than $117 billion per year in clean power generation and grid infrastructure. To every Race to Zero and Race to Resilience partner, you continue to show what real impact looks like, increasing resilience for billions while driving essential progress towards net zero goals. Without continued and accelerated action of this kind, the climate crisis will continue to wreak havoc and devastation on the most vulnerable communities. Today, 1.1 billion people live and work in informal settlements, a number set to double by 2050. A key focus moving forward would need to be to shed light on these incredible communities. And I'm pleased to share that organizations are developing the working group on informality under the Marrakech Partnership to address these unique challenges, but to champion their own leadership. In all of this, we cannot forget our most powerful ally, nature. It is the bedrock of resilience, the source of our air, water, food, and shelter. And as we strive for a net zero future, our progress depends on safeguarding and restoring this ecosystem and the ecosystems that sustains us all. Without nature, there is no Paris Agreement. Without nature, there is no foundation for stability or security. An essential pillar of this work lies with women and with Indigenous peoples, who really stand on the front lines of the climate crisis, not only in enduring its impact, but actively building solutions. From food security to community resilience, these leaders are integral to the fabric of our climate response and must be met with due recognition and direct financing. As I stand here for the last time as your high-level champion, I feel both the weight of urgency and the strength of hope. The path ahead is not easy, and the stakes could not be higher. Yet, in every commitment, every mobilized community, and every act of courage, I see humanity's resolve, a resolve which extends far beyond these walls. To my friends and colleagues in the Marrakech Partnership, let us build on our achievement and deepen our support for parties' climate plans. To the Climate Champions team and the UNFCCC Secretariat, you are too often the invisible infrastructure that allows us as high-level champions to soar far and wide, to champion action in the real economy. My deepest gratitude and heartfelt thanks goes to you all. To the COP28 presidency, and to my dear friend, Dr. Adnan Amin, I'd like to thank you for your belief and your vision for the power of the action agenda. To my co-champion, Nigar, it's been a privilege and honor to serve alongside you. You have brought strength, substance, and sensitivity to this role that I have no doubt will drive the greater ambition. To Manuel and to the alumni of incredible climate champions before me, Thank you for your continuous guidance. Thank you for the incredible work that we've had the privilege to build on. Yesterday, the Climate Champions team had this innovation, which they asked AI to draft a poem about me. And it was really, really good. It also made us cry. So I took a page out of your notebook and I asked AI to do the same, but I asked AI to actually draft a joke. And here it is. It is the end of time. And the Climate Champions team, along with the previous high-level champions, show up at the pearly gates of heaven and ask St. Peter, did we do enough about climate change? St. Peter smiles and he chuckles, said, yes, I read the reports. The 2030 climate solutions, the breakthroughs, the pathways. And yes, you made it here. And so did the Marrakech Partnership, by the way. But with the way things are, you may want to renew your mandate for a little more heavenly work. So as I pass this torch, I know each of you will carry it forward with unwavering determination. Let us be the generation that turned the tide, that stood united, that chose courage over complacency, stewardship over ideology, and hope over pessimism. Thank you so much.
Razan, as always, thank you so much for giving us so much grace and joy and hope. Thank you. Thanks again to all our speakers and audience, and congratulations on your efforts and hard work here at COP29. We now invite speakers and high-level champions team for a family photo. And thank you to all.